Okay. And we're live from Washington, D.C. Alternatives. And go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, world? My name is B.Wize, spelled with a Z, not with an S, also known as B.Wize. I'm glad and happy to be here with Miss Blue.
All right. And what do you do?
So I'm a hip hop artist, hip hop activist, mental health advocate, teen suicide educator, and also I'm an entertainer. So I bring education and I merge education and entertainment to bring it into one, and hopefully help somebody along the way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you have.
Yes, so I have my Yoga Thug Volume 1 is my first debut album. I'm really into meditation and follow the remedies of a med, which means meditation, exercise, and diet. Because with a healthy mind, you can also have a healthy body, spirit, and life. So I took songs that created songs to kind of aid in that paradigm, and Thug stands for True Hero Under God. Volume 1. So you can go to imbywize.biz. That's imbywize.biz. You can purchase the album in 10 songs, or you can purchase directly me. You can hit me up and I can send you a copy, autograph for free, all that good stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That's probably the most unique concept I've heard in a while.
Yes, absolutely. Music is a very influential thing. So, I try to use it. People use things for negative things. I decide to use mine for a positive influence and try to help some people along the way. So,
yeah.
Sure, absolutely.
So this is an amazing cover.
Thank you.
So how did you get into this?
So, being into mental health and understanding mental health, I understand that the fact that there's so many people, specifically my job. I started writing music about 4 years ago, and shout out to my wife and my daughter, Mayad, and the baby to come, and Marshall.
Congratulations!
So thank you very much. Shout out to them because they're my biggest supporters, and everybody that supports B.Wize. I really got into this because I wanted to make a difference with a talent that I had. So I believe that the universe gives talents and abilities to help people, and mine was just to be engaging into the arts. I'm really big into the arts. I'm really big into the art of music. So I wanted to be a writer and then encourage people. And then, of course, I got to try to make a living off it. So I got into the music business.
Right.
So, take from there, been doing it for 4 or 5 years. And I just try to motivate, inspire people to do what they can and take care of themselves as best they can. I just want to be an aid to that, just doing my part, playing my part in the world.
That's awesome. So how did you get to alternatives?
So I got to alternatives by the guy you just interviewed, Mr. Donovan Gardner. He saw what I was doing. He saw the hustle. He saw the grind. He saw that what I was doing was purposely for mental health and mental wellness. And he, it's kind of like, when you feel like nobody's really paying attention when you're grinding and when you're working hard, but he was paying attention, obviously. And he just was like, hey, man, I think what you're doing is great. Do you want to come along for paid, for everything paid for? So I couldn't pass up the opportunity. And since I've been here, it's been a very enlightening and enlightening experience. I mean,
yeah. It's a whole world. And this is my second alternatives.
Okay.
I missed last year's.
Right.
And I have to admit that this one, now that SAMHSA is not funding it,
right,
is I think a lot better. So this is the perfect one for you to have come to.
Absolutely. Yeah. DC is a great city. They used to call it the Chocolate City. It's not called the Chocolate City anymore. But you should be able to come here and see the nation's capital and to be in that environment and to meet like all the wonderful personalities and creatives and things of that nature is it's a great experience.
And so we were both in the workshop for film and media. So did you?
Absolutely. So I have a nonprofit organization called College Takeover Tour. Excuse me. And like I said, the arts is my vehicle of enlightening the world about mental wellness and teen suicide. And so I am so connected on a spiritual level, I would say, with film. And so I'm enlightened so much about film and what it can do and the influence that it can carry and the weight and even the perspective of how it can change behavior and perception. And so I really got into film like when I was real young. Like my mom put me on the X-Files, like I'm a big fan of the X-Files. When I get home, I'm gonna binge watch Stranger Things.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, I understand the influence of film, and Fox Mulder is one of my favorite characters of how he kind of was once he's always been a skeptic and then was a believer, then a skeptic, and Scully was the skeptic, and how that relationship formed, and I saw that, and along with other shows, noticed how like the perception and interpretation of things could be altered, and I said, hey, well, why can I take that same model, with music and film, especially with film, and create creative things to let people see stuff from a different standpoint and hopefully influence change.
Right. I see that. And with being able to have the opportunity to see how they were doing it was beautiful.
It was beautiful. It was captivating almost, and very inspiring from a creative mind. So yeah, it definitely inspired me.
I know that so I had heard about their film, The Healing Voices, and I had wanted a copy of it, and I did not realize that we were going into that it was their workshop until they started talking. And so that was kind of like an eye-opener that like this is the group of peers that is putting out that kind of work, and to know that it's everyday peers, and that to break that wall,
absolutely,
and to know that it is all of that work, that grind, like you said, it's that constant grind to be able to get that out there, and they're still working on things. Are you going to be moving into doing video yourself?
Oh, absolutely. We're working on a documentary. We have a big show coming up in the Kansas City area, and I just want to let everybody know, man, follow your dreams because anything is possible. We went from a small community college of doing our shows all the way now to booking, and that's a year ago. Within a 9 to 10 months time, booking's the second largest venue in Kansas City.
Oh wow!
And so I just want to encourage that. Just put that in there. Anybody that has a dream, go whatever, follow your dreams and work hard because it's definitely possible. But after the show, we're going to be working on a film called The Color Line.
Oh.
And The Color Line is talking about, as an African American male, in America, we have a lot of, when it comes to mental health, trying to connect the current situation of urban areas to the to post-slavery, to see if to present evidence, should I say, of after the 13th Amendment, when slaves was given freedom, and the trauma they still have to go through, and some of the trauma they still have to go through, is that not an excuse, but not even a justification, but is there evidence to support that's why certain people, especially in poverty and people of color, are mentally enslaved and still mentally disrupted. So I'll be working on that, and also exploring what fascinated me is the mind. I have a degree in history, but what really fascinated me about the mind is you can take two specimens, specimen A, specimen B, they can grow up in the same environment, have the same family structure and everything. Both of them are presented with the same trauma, but one reacts different than the other. And I want to explore that.
Yeah, it's very true.
So that's documentary number 2. After
I like that.
We do The Color Line. So yeah.
I like that. I know. So my brother and I, he's 3 years younger than me, and he and I lived in the same world and dealt with the same trauma. Granted, we are different people, but he dealt with it in such a dramatically different way. He literally blocked all of his memories. He doesn't really remember very much before the age of 11. He just wiped it. And it's like, wow. I kind of wished I could have done that, but at the same time, like, I'm glad I didn't. But the human mind is so incredibly fascinating. I can't fathom how yeah. And I also know that the decisions as to how we choose to go through different coping mechanisms.
Right.
I know that my friends and I, we have bonded because we found out that we had similar traumas growing up.
Absolutely.
And that's, camaraderie. It was something to bond over.
Absolutely.
But how they dealt with it and how they, self-medicated and self-soothed was very different than how I did. Absolutely. And so even though we got to the same place in the end, like Absolutely. That journey was so very different. So
Absolutely. The mind is, in retrospect, they say that the mind is a terrible thing to waste. And I think that is so true. And I think we've only explored 20% of the human brain to really try to see what really it can do. Yeah. And I think there's so much more to the human mind, so much power. I mean, we see a fraction of it in resilience. Yeah. When people go through certain situations and they have to be resilient to live, I think we see only a fraction of what humans can do and the human spirit. And that's one of the things that really has fascinated me about the human mind and the human brain and the environment. And it's just a great bundle of awesomeness.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah.
When I went to college, I studied counseling and psychology, and I didn't finish because I was reading descriptions of basically my own family, and they were saying that according to the book, I shouldn't be able to be a functional human being, which wasn't really what I wanted to be reading.
Absolutely.
So I didn't complete the degree, but obviously we are in a movement saying that's not true, not real.
Absolutely.
And I think counseling changes their books every year. So because we're so constantly moving and changing and moving forward in what we're learning. And we've done podcasts before this one about, we open dialogue. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not.
No, not quite.
It's amazing, and I'm gonna have to shoot you that one.
Absolutely.
Because it's an amazing counseling technique that is used in Lapland, Finland, and we're bringing it to America.
Absolutely.
But also like different shamanistic medicines and how that works with the mind, and like happy and ayahuasca, and the idea that maybe addicts have been using self-medication, but we just didn't know what we were doing, and so we were pushing it too far.
Absolutely.
And so like that whole concept is something that I have been, because I came from a family of addicts, I have been interested in exploring. So.
Absolutely. I believe that, and I'm gonna say this, and I just try to keep it 100 as possible, but in perspective, I think the real drug dealers are the pharmaceutical companies who continuously use humans as almost lab rats, because I've worked in the field of human services, and I've seen particular situations to where, you got to take a medication for a medication.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that you really become almost a walking zombie.
Yep.
And some of the psych meds even have so much physical influence, have so much of an effect on the human body that some of the things, some of the clients will live with for the rest of their lives.
Right.
And so I believe that if there's an alternative way, I actually have a person on my team, shout out to Kylie, on my team, Kansas City, Kansas. She's a CBD oil expert. And so she's a person that I really confide in as far as understanding the medicinal uses of hemp oil, CBD, and even marijuana. Disclaimer, I'm not telling anyone to use marijuana to abuse it. Now, you have to be responsible in whatever you do. But if it's used for medical purposes, I mean, I have
know
a guy.
Your body, know yourself.
Absolutely. I have a friend of mine that's also on my team. Shout out to B.Wize. He's a veteran. And, a lot of veterans, when they come back home, they want to, they prescribe, a pharmacist or a doctor prescribes them either psych meds or, medications. Well, a lot of that times that only enhances sometimes their PTSD or their anxiety, that it doesn't really cure it. A lot of veterans have said, that medicinal marijuana has been the complete solution to their PTSD, to their anxiety. So, within reason, within margin, and within medical procedure, I believe that medicinal marijuana and CBD oil and maybe other alternatives is something that we need to, as a nation and as a whole, to treat people, need to be an option.
Yeah. And so when we went to do the lobbying, one of the things that I plugged is the preventative measures instead of always taking care of the pains afterward. And the idea that, like, can we please get it so that medical can pay for like better food and like a gym membership instead of waiting until somebody has diabetes or is dealing with like my muscles are breaking down because I'm in pain.
Right.
And because preventative measures, I'm a big believer in that now that I've gone through my journey.
Absolutely.
And by what you've described, you also are in that as well.
Absolutely. I was an athlete myself, and I believe that like I've had 3 concussions, I've had pains, and like even the NFL right now is taking up a policy about marijuana use. And because a lot of NFLs, when you play a professional sport, people don't understand, you put your body through hell.
Yeah.
And so to kind of remedy those things. You know, if you know anything about cannabis itself, it certain strands relaxes the muscles, and it could just, you know, not only a head high but also a body high. And I know for me, like I use it to be creative. I don't, and that's why I put a disclaimer in as far as using it responsibly, because some people will just use it just to, and they're lazy, like they don't get anything accomplished. But I think there's a certain way and a certain perspective that needs to be explored and also maximized in the mainstream eye, that just because a person uses marijuana doesn't mean there's a stigma within itself about those people. I know, and I won't put them on blast, but I know plenty of people who use marijuana and have high level positions, and they are very effective in their positions.
Right.
So I think the stigma on that needs to be turned as well. And me personally, I use it to be creative. I use it to write music, and in no way, shape, or form am I an addict, or I have to use it in order to be creative. I think that could be a supplement but I speak, you know, specifically for people who do need the you know, marijuana to be used for an ailment, like, you know, anxiety. That lowers the anxiety. You know, let's be real. If you want to do numbers, there's no stat on marijuana where it has killed somebody. Right. There's no stat on marijuana that it's in the top 5 of fatalities. Right. There's no true fact when it just involves marijuana, that crime. And I always make a joke about this, that the reason why people don't commit crimes on marijuana, because most likely they're forgetful. Right. So right. Yeah. So
I think about Robin Williams and his talking about how you don't hear about criminals getting high on marijuana and doing anything because they're busy at home eating Cheetos on the couch, because
exactly
you're just gonna relax and you're gonna chill, and you don't get, you know, tickets for speeding because you don't find your car keys.
Well, and then you're paranoid. If you do drive, you're paranoid, so you make sure you drive the speed limit and you have your seatbelt on.
Yeah.
So yes, so that might be an alternative. So yeah, I'm definitely for that. And like I said, like responsibly, I would never advise. You know, you research anything that you put into your body. So I never would advise an adolescent. You know, they actually advise for people that want to use marijuana to wait till the brain develops fully. So I never would advise an adolescent using marijuana. Now there was a story of a mother who was giving her son marijuana, but he had seizures, and it actually helped seizures. So other than anything other medical, just to use it recreationally, just to have fun, I would definitely not advise that for any adolescent to take. But you know, if you come of age to where you're suffering from different ailments, either mentally or physically, I would definitely check with a doctor, or maybe a holistic doctor who understands that realm, and you know, get the information.
I'm very pro education. I'm very pro exploration. I'm very pro tools. And I think that medication is a tool. And I think that the idea that we have to only get our medication from a pharmaceutical company is a shame, because the pharmaceutical company got it from the people who were getting it from plants.
Absolutely.
And then they took that from those people and figured out how to make it fake.
Right.
And if we can make it so that it's natural and our body can process it, and we can, like, personally, I want to reduce the amount of chemical going into my body.
Absolutely.
And as I have gone through my journey, I was on a lot more medication than I am now. And I had to fight to just reduce the number of pills. Absolutely. Because there's that whole mentality of, it's working now, so you should just stay on it even though you don't need it, just in case maybe like in 5 years you might need it. And it's like, if you're on a natural path, that's not how it works, because it doesn't have to be built up in your system like that.
Right.
Like I will take I eat natural foods. It took me a long time to figure out that I had celiac disease. And that was like the majority of even my mental health issues was if your brain is inflamed, you have hallucinations, you have depression, you have bipolar, you have, you know, suicidality comes from celiac disease.
Right.
So I had to learn how to eat. And then now I also learned that mushrooms, like eating mushrooms, makes my brain work better now.
Really?
Yeah. So I grow lion's mane mushrooms in my bedroom.
Wow. Okay.
And it's something that I got from the Saturday markets. So but it's also something that, like, if I tell people, oh yeah, you know, I supplement with mushrooms, they're like, mushrooms?
Yeah.
It's like, not all mushrooms are like
Bad.
psilocybin.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think nature has. There's not one thing. I mean, millions have humans have been living on this earth for millions of years before pharmaceuticals, before any doctors, and what they lived was our ancestors lived off the nature of the land. And I think because of the monopolization of pharmaceuticals and things of that nature, I think it actually creates diseases.
Yeah.
From what we eat, all the chemicals in what we eat, what we inhale, what we, the chemicals that we put on our bodies, like lotions, perfumes, all that stuff, actually creates diseases. And if you look back, prehistoric, days, I mean, I'm pretty sure they didn't have cancer because they ate everything that was pure, everything that was kind of close to maybe a vegetarian diet. I mean, everything was fresh, everything was pure. You didn't have no pesticides on the food or anything like that. And so now I totally agree with you. Like, I think there's always an alternative, and I'm not knocking modern medicine. I think that modern medicine is, if it's definitely effective, then at all costs use it.
But be educated in what it is you're taking.
Absolutely. Yes. Be research, and be open-minded. Like, be open-minded to all the alternatives as well.
Yeah. One of the things that, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about the fact that, like, the stuff that we put in our body right now, we in the mental health world specifically, like, according to the statistics, I might have 10 years left on my expected life cycle, because that's how the mental health world is. Most people who take psych meds or who have taken psych meds for an extended period of time are expected to not really live past like 45, 50. And that's kind of horrifying.
It is.
And like, no, I'm good. If I can find a natural alternative to make it so that I can like live to see my grandbabies, I'm good.
Absolutely. I would actually recommend a doctor. His name is Dr. Sabi. Unfortunately, he's not here with us no more, but he used a natural, organic, plant life diet to pretty much cure a lot of diseases that we know now, and it's medically documented. I mean, he has. This is the thing. If you go try his diet, the worst that can happen is you get healthier. Like,
right.
That's the worst that could happen. Like, because I mean, his diet really, you don't need a stove because everything is organic, and you don't eat meat, you don't eat any types of meat, and everything is pretty much fruits, vegetables, and seeds.
Oh wow!
And so I believe, and most people don't realize, and I think this is what the medical field doesn't teach us, is that just like when your body, when you get a cut on your flesh, it heals itself. Well, the internal body is the same way. The thing is that a lot of us, we don't nourish it like we're supposed to, so it doesn't heal properly.
Right.
And if we continuously put, junk food, and you made a very valid point. I was in education for about 4 years, teacher for 4 years, and they were trying to figure out why all these kids are having issues with ADHD, ADD. And then if you start to look at what they were eating actually at school, where they were feeding these kids all these starches, processed foods, so on and so forth, what that has to do with the intake, their intake has a lot to do with their mental state.
Yep, inflamed brains.
Exactly. And so your diet, that's why I try to follow the remedy of, meditation, exercise, and diet, because diet is a great part of, what you feed your physical body. Your brain is connected to that as well. And that stimulates your mental wellness and mental health.
Yeah. So, and you do, well, I mean, yoga is on there. Yes. So you do the yoga and the meditation as well.
Yes. So I do yoga and meditation. I am somewhat novice in it. I would say I've been about 3 or 4 months in, so I'm still learning every single day. I practice Taoism.
Oh, wow.
And because I don't know, I mean, whatever floats your boat, floats your boat.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't discriminate against any religion or anything like that, but I tell people that you have to find what suits you.
Yes.
Whatever suits you. I grew up in a Christian background. My dad's a minister. Shout out Dad, Mom, love you guys. And I grew up in a Christian background, and I just noticed how the universe moves and kind of how just life for me just expanded. And when I read Taoism, I said, oh, that's me. That's me to the T, because it gives you a and if you don't know what Taoism is, you know it as the yin and the yang. That's what it is, pretty much. And understanding balance. I'm up. Okay, so I'm up to go perform. Ask them to sign me up later.
They're doing open mics, so if you can hear all the cheering, that's the open mic out there.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. They gonna cut it short? Oh, that's fine.
Oh, well, if you need to cut short so that you can go out there.
No, wait. Dave, you said that they're gonna cut it short, so I ain't gonna be able to go.
Yeah, it's gotta be before 9:30.
Okay, cool. Well, now I'll finish this, and then if I get to it, I get to it. If we don't, we don't. That's good. All right, bet. Cool.
See, this is part of why being live is
pinchy.
You know, it's pinchy.
Yeah, but yeah, I really feel like, you know, in Taoism, it teaches you that in every good there's bad, and every bad there's good, but that creates balance. And everything that we're talking about, Miss Blue, is really a purposeful balance. Like there's always, like, we didn't grow up, we didn't. I don't think life is supposed to be a utopia, because we would never, without, you know, people, all the atheists and evolutionists out there, you know that evolution involves struggle. My wife is about to have her second child, and I put this in perspective. My wife is going to go through at least 7 or 8 months or 9 months of pain, heartache, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But what's on the other side of that pain? It's reward of a child, something that I would, you know, at the time, I don't know if you have kids, but have had kids. Yeah. So you understand through all that pain, you would, you know, women say when they're in labor, and I've heard this, oh, I'm never going to have a baby again. And right after they did, and then you have another one.
And I've got a 16-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I think, you know, struggle is good to elevate you to another level. You know, me and my wife talk about this all the time of how I wouldn't have evolved if negativity or what we call negative energy wouldn't be involved in my life, because that's what makes me appreciate the good. So I embrace good. I embrace the negative. I embrace the stuff that comes into my life that try to tears me down and things like that, because I appreciate that, because that's what gives me that's what really makes me appreciative of good things.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that. I think it's really amazing. I think that you are like in this perfect niche that is it's perfectly unique enough for you to stand out above the crowd. So
yes, ma'am.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And you have extra copies of this? Because
I do have extra copies.
Fantastic. I need to get an extra copy. We have and I need to be with a friend of mine from Oregon named Yogi Rob.
Okay.
He's our top yogi in the Northwest. So,
absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and I'll go ahead and unless do you have anything else you want to spiel?
So you can follow me at I am B.Wize, that B-I-Z, Instagram I am B.Wize, Facebook B.Wize. You can find all that stuff. Remember, Yoga Thug Value 1 comes out. If you hit me up on all those platforms I just mentioned, you can get a CD for $10. You can actually go on my website, and if you don't like the songs, you can just buy one individual, which is only 99 cents. Thank you guys for having me. And always, impossible is spelled I'm possible.
I like that. All right. Thank you. And I'll let you get to your open mic.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on.
All right, cool.
All right.
Cool.
All right. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.
Yes, I will definitely give you some more copies. Just let me know how many you need.
Awesome. Cool.